My Lords, I join, I think, pretty well everyone else in commending the Noble Lord, Lord Howarth, for moving these amendments. I attached my name to 67, although it really could have been any of them. And I think it's worth two broad points. In the last group, the Noble Lady Baroness Cumberledge, in her wonderful contribution, said, I think, a really key phrase: the community provided the health. And that really is what this group of amendments is all talking about. And I think also a couple of groups back, the Noble Lady Baroness Thornton talked about how if the health system is working for people with learning disabilities, it's working for everybody. Well, I think if we bring in the kind of institutions, frameworks, supports that we're talking about here, thinking about people, stopping people getting ill, caring for ill people, we're actually making our communities vastly better for everybody. And that's, I think, a really important point to be made. Now, I guess like most Noble Lords, I could come up with a list as long as your arm, but I won't, of wonderful places I've visited. But I have just got to mention one, because I think it brings together two elements of this: creative and nature and culture, or three elements, and culture. And that's the Green Backyard in Peterborough, which is the most wonderful space. I would defy anyone to walk into it and not smile. It has amazing, colourful, moving, with water, sculptures, with food growing, amazing salads filled with flowers. And when I visited there was someone was visiting, and I spoke to her carer, and this person had very profound disabilities. She was blind and she was non-verbal. But I spoke to her carer, and her carer said, I've never seen anything like it. After the first time we came to visit, the next Monday, that was the Monday she knew she visited, she was all packed up, she was ready to go, she was dressed, she was right there ready to go out. And this was obviously really catering to someone's needs, just absolutely brilliantly. And you know what? It nearly got bulldozed and turned into a block of flats a few years ago, and luckily it was saved. But that's the situation we so often find ourselves in. Now, the other amendment I just want to mention is 90, also in the name of the Noble Lord, Lord Howarth. And the Noble Lord, Lord Best, has already said a great deal on this, so I'll just seek to add a couple of small points. Well, one small point and one quite big point. One is there's something called the Lifetime Home Standard, and I learnt about this when I visited Derwent Thorpe with the Joseph Rowntree Foundation in York. And the thing I remember about it, because it was so simple and so obvious, was these were two-storey houses that had all been built so that there was a space between the joists. So if you needed to put a lift in to the to the first floor, the bedroom floor, it was really simple and easy and low cost to do. And it was just a very simple piece of design. And okay, this isn't going to be covered in the Health and Care Bill, but there's so many aspects of our society, and I think saying housing is a health issue. And we were in the first group this morning talking about social care and how many people can't leave hospital and go home because their accommodation is unsuitable. And we need to think all the way along the line, all about our society, to make sure that doesn't happen. And I want to pick out just finally a final point, a word or two words in this amendment, talking about housing and urban environment. And I was thinking here of the New Ground co-housing development in North London, which is a co-housing development for women over 50. And one of the aspects of that was looking at how people can support each other, be good neighbours, form a community that can provide support. And this morning I was on a King's Fund briefing talking about social care. And there was a great deal of talk about the need for digital innovation, and we've got to have technology. And I actually tweeted, what about social innovation? And we've got to think about how we organise our societies, how we organise our urban environment, so people can form those kind of communities. And I would ask, if you go and visit any area of most typical new housing being built anywhere around the country, there's precious little in it to actually encourage that kind of community development. So I think the housing is kind of obvious, the environment is kind of obvious too, but let's not lose that community structure, the urban structure, in that amendment as well.